Are you eating the microphone? No. Hello everybody, it's Butch again. I thought I would cover the GUT extension that I've created for VS Code. This extension allows you to run your unit tests directly from the editor. You can run your entire test suite, a single script, or even just a single test with the flick of a wrist. For this tutorial, I went ahead off camera and created a Godot project. I installed GUT into that project through the asset library, created a test directory with a unit directory in that, created a single test script with a test in it. I've opened that project up into VS Code and we are about to install the plugin now. We are going to install GUT Extension. And this will install the Godot Tools extension if it's needed. I currently do not have it. And we will see that after installing this, we now have the Godot Tools extension. Go away. And then we're going to bring up the command palette with Shift Command P. And there's GUT. We've got run the current script, run at cursor, run all, and show help. So let's go ahead and run the script. And we got nothing. And that's because we don't have it set up. So when running GUT from the terminal, you either have to give it options to tell it where all your tests are and what options you want to use, or you have to create a .gut config. And lucky enough, over here in the settings for the GUT extension, we do have a sample .gut config that we'll just grab from there. And then we will make a new file in here called .gutconfig.json. Well, that didn't do anything. Can you not copy from this window? That would be highly disappointing. There it is. Huh. You can't. Well, that's ridiculous. Alright. We can then just go to the repository. Yes. GitHub is trusted. And go to the README. And copy will work from here. There it is. Okay, so the settings we got here are, we've got a directory of res test, which is where we've got our tests. We've told it to include the subdirectories. Ignoring pauses, there is a thing you can do in your tests that will cause a pause to happen, so this is just going to ignore pauses. Let's make that false. We've got a log level. We're going to not exit when it's done, and we are going to maximize. So now, if we go run current script, there it is. We've got our foo and it passed. So let's make a slightly more complicated example. We see that these two classes were run. Now, as long as you have the editor open, which we do, and of course, the Godot tools will prompt you over here to open it if you've closed it. So we can open that back up. And as long as you've got that open and the outline is populated, we can use run at cursor. And run at cursor will take the cursor into account and just run where it's at. And so in this one, we can see that we just ran test foo and nothing else. It also knows, it's kind of smart, knows where functions end. So if I run this, it knows that we were between two tests, and it's just going to run the test foobar class. And then if we run this all the way back up to the top and say run it cursor, it's going to run the entire script. And the other options we have is we can go ahead and let's make a new file called testother.gd. So now we can also run all, and you can see that we ran all the test scripts that were out there. There are two settings that exist for the GUT extension. The first allows you to put some additional options in here, and you can find Godot command line options, Godot command line options in their documentation. If you would like to see guts options, you can run the show help, and that'll print out a nice little set of options that you can specify. Any option that you can specify here, you can also put in the .gut config. And if you wanted to, you can grab this and then just up arrow, get rid of the GH, and this will print you out a GUT config that's got all the options in it, set to either their default values or your current values, as you can see here. And that can be useful for adding more options. There we go. Adding more options either to the command line or your GUT config. The other option is this discard terminal, and right now it's off, which means that every time we run GUT, it's going to continue to use the same terminal window. And that can be useful because you can see the output over multiple runs if you would like to keep that going around. The downside is that if there is an error and you try to run the current script, it's going to crash. Oh, well, it won't if you don't save it. So there. Okay, so it blew up. And now we're stuck at this debug window, and you can type quit, but you got to type it a bunch to get out. And if you don't realize what's going on and you fix your problem and try to run it again, well, it just put the command back down here at this debug prompt. So to get around that, this is enabled by default. So this way it won't reuse it. It'll kill the existing one. And so now if I run current script, everything works just fine. So the only downside is that you don't get to see your output over multiple runs in the same window. But the good side is it works more consistently.